Welcome to the Padres Postgame Show on the Padres Radio Network. Coming up, we'll deliver a full recap of today's game, including highlights from the biggest moments. We'll take a trip down to the manager's office to hear from Mike Shildt. Plus, we'll bring you scores from around Major League Baseball. The Padres Postgame Show starts now on the Padres Radio Network.
We are live here at Petco Park. Another frustrating night for the San Diego Padres as they fall by a final score of 6-3. Rockies have won the first two games of this three-game set, and now the Padres will look to avoid a three-game sweep at the hands of the Rockies tomorrow afternoon here at Petco Park. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building. As we wrap this one up, Padres are back to below 500 at 22-23. It will not be a fifth consecutive series win for the Padres. Rockies, meanwhile, continue to play good baseball. The Colorado Rockies all of a sudden have won 6 in a row. Even with that, they're still 14-28, but you have to give them credit where credit's due. They are playing well right now. They've won 6 in a row, and they will win this three-game series. And again, now the Padres in a position to salvage the finale of this series tomorrow here at Petco Park. And we'll have plenty of time here tonight to get into the particulars of this game, how it went down. We'll have all the radio highlights for you. We'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt, all our usual stuff coming up. I know last night Mike Shildt didn't want to really entertain the phrase or the word deflating when describing yesterday's game, but I got to tell you, at least for me here tonight, losing the first two games of this series to the Rockies after taking 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers, all the good vibes the Padres had entering this series, this has been a very deflating couple of nights for the Padres, just as far as momentum, just when you thought, maybe they had turned a corner, an opportunity this week against the Rockies, albeit they came in on a 4-game win streak, but you really felt like an opportunity to beef up the record a little bit, get a few games above 500, and keep the momentum going. But, and it may be unfair to keep on comparing things to 2023, and I do think at some point, maybe we stop doing that, but I do think it's natural at the same time. I'll be honest with you, the last couple of nights it has felt very, very 2023-ish as far as the missed opportunities yesterday. Now, yesterday's game and today, they were two different things. Padres lost them really in two different ways. But similar in this sense, the Padres fell behind and they could not find a way to catch all the way up. I think with this game here tonight, you really break it down into two parts. The Padres offense had early opportunities against Cal Quantrill. They couldn't find ways to cash in. Padres had the first 2 on in the first inning, couldn't get a run home. They had runners on first and third in the second, couldn't get a run home. They had runners on first. At least they had 2 hits in the fourth inning. Couldn't end up getting a run home. At least they had a runner on third base in the fourth inning with 1 out. Couldn't get the run in. Through the first 4 innings of this game, the Padres were 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position. Meanwhile, Dylan Cease wasn't as sharp as he's been. He ultimately gives up 3 runs in 5 2/3 innings, but not any kind of disastrous start from Dylan Cease. He wasn't as sharp, but again, you look at the offense, and against the guy in Cal Quantrill, whose numbers aren't bad entering this start, but a guy you feel like this offense should be able to handle. And at one point in this game, the Padres were 0 for 5 again with runners in scoring position. If you go and you look at the last 4 games at that point, they were 0 for their last 23. So there was the early part of this game where Padres couldn't find ways to cash in, couldn't find ways to take a lead for Dylan Cease. Then the Rockies get 1 in the 4th inning. Then they end up scoring 4 in the 6th inning, and then they end up scoring 1 more in the 7th inning to take a 6-0 lead. And the Padres once again are battling from behind. They make noise in the 7th inning. They pick up a couple of RBI hits to make it 6-2. Wild pitch makes it 6-3. And this is the part that was like last night. The Padres get the tying run to the plate in the 7th inning. Jake Cronenworth hits a ball hard, lines out to right field, inning over. Padres then brought the tying runs to the plate, and Luis Campusano in the 8th inning. He flies out, inning over. They hit some balls hard in the 9th inning, but wasn't enough. Padres end up scoring 3 runs in the 7th inning, and that was as close as they got, 6-3. And again, I ended up getting a little bit into the particulars of this game, but I think the 2 games in this series, for me, it's more of just I kind of zoom out and look at things. The Padres had a real opportunity in this series in the last couple of days to build on what they had done in the week and a half prior, to build on winning 4 consecutive series, to build on winning 8 of 11 games entering this series, to build on the series win against LA, to take advantage of a Rockies team that came in one of the worst records in all of baseball, and they just have not been able to do it these last 2 nights, and that is frustrating. It really is frustrating, and it just seems like on so many occasions, whether we go back to last year or the first 45 games now of this season, man, every time the Padres seem to take a step or 2 forward, there's then the step or 2 back, and they drop below 500 again to 22-23. Yes, we're a little over of a quarter of a way through the season, but to this point, it's been 1 step forward, 1 step back, and an opportunity this week to really carry that momentum, and the Padres just haven't done it the first 2 games of this series. And here tonight, they had opportunities to take a lead and hand Dylan Cease a lead and say, hey, Dylan, go do the rest, and they couldn't do that. Dylan wasn't perfect tonight. It happens. He's not going to be perfect or as good as he was in Chicago every time out. That's unrealistic to expect. But the offense didn't do stuff early. Then they fell behind. Then a bit of an unraveling in the 6th inning, and they couldn't catch up. And all of a sudden, now you're trying to avoid a sweep at the hands of the Rockies tomorrow. So, series has not gone well. Not gone well at all. You look at the offense just by the numbers here before we go to break. Last 6 games, Padres have scored 14 runs total. Not very much there. The last 4 games, the Padres are only 3 for 30 with runners in scoring position. So that has been a problem. It was a problem here tonight, aside from the couple of hits in the 7th inning to make it 6-2. But, when you have those kinds of numbers with runners in scoring position, it's hard to win a lot of games. And the Padres, again, have dropped the first 2 games of this series. So interested to hear what Mike Shildt had to say after this one. We'll have all the radio highlights for you. Much, much more to come as we wrap this one up. Final score here tonight, Rockies 6, Padres 3. Postgame show continues after this on the Padres Radio Network. Our postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score here tonight, Rockies 6, Padres 3. Rockies have won the first two games of this three-game series, and now the Rocks will go for a series sweep here in San Diego tomorrow. Certainly not how you drew it up if you were a Padres fan at the start of this week, coming off the momentum from the series win against LA, 4 consecutive series wins, the good brand of baseball the Padres had been playing entering this series, but over the last couple of days, that's kind of been erased here as the Padres now will try to avoid a 3-game sweep at the hands of the Rockies tomorrow. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we break this one down. We'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt coming up in just a little bit, so stay tuned for that. But before we hear from Mike, let's recap this one in its entirety.
What moments had the biggest impact on today's game? We'll paint you a picture with our game recap on the Padres Radio Network.
Both starting pitchers, Dylan Cease and Cal Quantrill, were very good to start the game. Both went 3 scoreless innings to begin the night, but the Padres did have early scoring opportunities. They had 2 on with nobody out in the bottom of the first. They didn't score. They had runners on first and third. With 2 men away in the bottom half of the second, they didn't score again. So a scoreless game going to the 4th inning. Ryan McMahon led off for Colorado.
First pitch on the way to the left-hand hitter. McMahon skies one to right field pretty deep. Fernando backing up, checking where he is. At the wall, leaping up, gonna go. Moonshot to right for McMahon. His 6th home run of the season. And the Rockies' strength, it is 1-0 here in the 4th.
Padres didn't score in the 4th inning against Quantrill. They didn't score in the 5th either. Rockies led 1-0 going to the 6th inning. Ezekiel Tovar led off with a double. Ryan McMahon reached on catcher's interference, but then Cease got a double play ball. That put Tovar at third base with 2 men away, but then the trouble really started. Brendan Rodgers dug in.
The 0-1 from Cease, grounded right back up the middle, hits second base, and deflects into shallow center for an RBI single. Tovar comes in to score. The Rockies lead it 2-0. I don't know that they would have had a shot to get Rodgers had either Kim or Arise been able to field that. But once it hit second base and kind of catapulted into the outfield, they had no shot. And that very frustrating way is how Dylan Cease's night is going to come to a close with 2 outs here in the 6th inning.
And I'm with Jesse there. Even if it doesn't hit the second base bag, I'm not sure that there was a chance to get Rodgers at first base anyway. Ended up being an RBI base hit for Rodgers, made it a 2-0 Rockies lead. Cease came out of the game. Stephen Kolek came in. When Kolek came in, it went like this. Single, RBI single, RBI infield single, another RBI single. All in all, the Rockies sent 9 men to the plate in the 6th inning, 4 runs on 6 hits in the frame. Rockies had a 5-0 lead. Padres got a leadoff walk in the bottom half of the 6th inning, but then a fielder's choice followed by Manny Machado grounding into his 2nd inning-ending 5-4-3 double play of the night. We went top 7. Stephen Kolek went back to work. Ezekiel Tovar led off.
Ezekiel Tovar leads off. First pitch swinging, hits one to deep left field, and gone. A home run to begin the 7th. Tovar's 5th of the year. Led off last inning with a double. Leads off this inning with a home run. And now 6-0 Colorado.
Padres still trailed 6-0, going bottom 7. Quantrill issued a leadoff walk to Jurickson Profar. That was it for Quantrill as righty Victor Vodnik came in. The Padres would get runners to first and third with 1 out for Luis Campusano.
1 for their last 26 as this one's grounded up the middle into center field and a base hit. Well, forget all that. Profar comes in to score. Merrill speeds around a third, an RBI single for Luis Campusano. Padres are on the board at 6-1.
Later in the inning, there were runners on first and third for Luis Arise.
1-2 the pitch. Arise swings, hits it on the ground through the right side, and a base hit. Merrill comes in to score. Campusano will advance 1 station to second base. An RBI single for Arise, and now a 6-2 game here in the 7th.
So the Padres were making some noise in the 7th inning. They loaded the bases against Vodnik to bring the tying runs to the plate in Jake Cronenworth. Then this happened.
1-1. The pitch to Cronenworth bounces away. It's going to go all the way to the Padre dugout. Tatis has scored. Arise is thinking about it, and I think the ball rolled into the dugout.
rolled into the dugout, and by rule, 1 run came in. Everybody else moved up. So the Padres were trailing 6-3. Jake Cronenworth still represented the tying run at the plate. He lined out to right to end the inning. Padres still trailed 6-3. Going to the bottom of the 8th inning, they had runners on first and third with 2 men away against Rockies reliever Nick Mears, but Luis Campusano flew out to end the inning. He was once again representing the tying run at the plate. We went to the 9th inning. Right-hander Tyler Kinley came on for the save opportunity, and he retired. Ha-Sung Kim, Luis Ariz, Fernando Tatis Jr. in order. 1, 2, 3. To end the ball game. And that was it here tonight. Padres had a chance in the 7th inning. They had a chance to tie it in the 8th inning. They could not get that one more big swing as the Rockies win it here tonight. 6-3 final totals for the Rockies. 6 runs, 10 hits, no errors. Padres 3 runs, 11 hits, 1 error. Padres now 22-23, back to below 500. Rockies have now won 6 in a row, and they are 14-28 on the year. Let's go downstairs here at Petco Park and hear some post-game reaction.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Presented by Sinley Food. Spice up your culinary life.
Mike, you guys continue to get an abundance of hits and put yourself in position. Is as simple as just need to get back to driving them in?
Yeah, it really is that simple. It really is that simple. I mean, talked about it last night. You know, how do you view it? You know, you can look at it from a couple of different lenses. You know, feel far worse if we weren't creating opportunities. Opportunities are being created. Capitalized on some of them tonight, but we left a lot of traffic out there and weren't able to capitalize. And you know, that's part of the game.
What are your thoughts during that sequence in the 5th where those guys put, I think it was 3 at-bats with 30 pitches, and your guy is, because you've talked about one of the factors that goes into your evaluation is kind of the high stress.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, they put together a lot of good at-bats against Dillon as the game went. It was interesting because they were on every pitch. And so, you know, we had Cave started it. You know, I think an 11-pitch inning to start it, and then it just guys took some good at-bats and, you know, fouled off a lot of tough pitches. And, you know, you had Beck down there doing the same thing. So, I mean, they basically, you know, took off probably an inning and a half from Dillon. There was a little more stress. And, you know, once they got that second run at 98, that was enough. You know, we got, you know, very little issue there with 2 outs at, you know, runner on first. And, you know, next thing you know, there's 3 more runs with really not a lot of hard contact. You know, you had the ball that went down the right field line. You know, again, to their credit, I mean, it's a weird game some nights, you know. And they swing and bunt and, you know, we'll base it up the middle. And next thing you know, 4 runs. And then you go out and line it out to left, line it out to second, line it out to right on our side. So, you know, that's the other part that I wish I could explain it and bottle it, but that's just the game. You know, sometimes the ball just doesn't consistently land or get caught, you know, that are soft. So it's that's what can make it beautiful and frustrating all in the same thing.
What did you make of Dillon on the whole? It seemed like he had most of his usual stuff, maybe without quite that put away late.
I thought he was good across the board. Like I said, they took some really good at bats, man. They were on every pitch after a while. So I thought his stuff was good. Just you know, and still put some guys away, but just long, deep counts. I thought his stuff was fine.
You say they were on every pitch. What do you mean by that?
They were just on every pitch. I mean, you know, they were fouling tough pitches off, regardless of fastball or slider.
One of baseball's adages is when you play a team can be as important as who you play.
Sure.
There aren't many playoff teams that don't build their resume without taking care of teams with losing records. It's their 3rd win in a row over you. I mean, just how troubling is it that you guys haven't?
I mean, listen, you play 162 games, you're going to have a stretch regardless of your opponent where balls don't go your way. You just doesn't work, you know. And is that yeah, I understand the question completely. I understand it. I've lived it. But it's not an absolute in the sense of like like you can never lose to a team that has a losing record. Clearly, you want to take care of business against every team. We talk about that irrespective of opponent, and that's really what it boils down to. But the thing about tonight and last night, I mean, we've had 2 walks in the series from our side from a pitching standpoint. And, we played catch interference, kind of a weird thing. It is lace, I guess. Trying to make a play last night. Other than that, we played pretty clean, So it's not like we beat ourselves. It's just, like I said, when balls are falling and, we're hitting balls at people in certain big spots, we can't get that, ball to find a hole. Those games happen. They're not fun.
The wild pitch in the dugout. What was kind of your opinion? The rule, I guess, is it's one
just by
base,
rule. It's one base from the mound.
Is that another one of those breaks that you were just mentioning?
Yeah, I mean, how that rule came about, why only one base from the pitcher and 2 bases from a position player, I don't know. We can have maybe channel Abner. Maybe he can speak to us. I don't know. I can't figure that one out. But that's the rule. So, it was 8 play in the game, but it wasn't the difference in the game.
Mike, you're always praising the team for its fight in these games, even in a deficit. But has this team come close to playing up to your expectations, or to their expectations? And what do you make of the team's struggles at home during night games?
Well, the team we just got through winning our 4th series before this series in a row, all against quality teams, and 2 of those series, or the previous 2 series at home. So I do appreciate that the questions asked because we've lost 2 in a row at home. But as far as the consistency is the first, feeling like the team's playing up to its capability. I mean, this team just got through winning 4 series in a row for the first time since 2021. And so I don't know, I understand the question, but it's just really about a matter of consistency. Like I said, we get a ball to go a couple ways yesterday or today, to find some holes, or goes at somebody softly. We're in a great position to win a series tomorrow, but we're not. We've lost the last 2, and we recognize that and got to own that. But, as far as the consistency of play relative to our base running, defense, pitching, I think it's been pretty darn good in a lot of stretches, and it needs to continue to be consistent for us to put together, to Ace's point, that the ability to, irrespective of opponents, to be the playoff team we expect to be.
You're still waiting for Manny, Toddy, and Xander to really get going at the same time. How do you view just kind of the early production you got from guys like Jackson and Jerks and Jake? Does that feel like a wasted opportunity because those guys are producing and your highest paid guys aren't, or do you view it differently?
I don't think it's a wasted opportunity. I think if you look at, we've had a lot of good contributions, to your point, from Jackson, Pro, Campy, Crony, obviously we here, Rise here now. So that part's been positive. I mean, Wadey's contributed. And so when you have a lineup that, is getting contributions, there's going to be times where those guys carry it. The bottom carries it. And so it just kind of, to get all 9 guys hot is not typical, right? And so it's good to know that we're right sitting where we're at, and know we've got contributions from a lot of that part of that lineup. So I don't feel like it's wasted at all, because without it, we'd be in trouble, right? And we do expect the back of the bubblegum card to show up with those other guys, and there'll be a stretch where I get to sit here and talk to you here in Petco Park and, at a Major League Stadium near you on the road, where we can talk about how Bogey, Toddy, and Manny are carrying us and taking us to that next level.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt after tonight's game. Padres fall 6-3 to the Colorado Rockies. Sam Levitt with you here inside the loft at the Western Metal Building as we wrap this one up. Padres struggles at home here in night games in particular. continue. And look, bottom line is this. As I always say, two things can be true at once. The Padres have been playing good baseball coming in. They had won 4 consecutive series. But being 2-4 against the Colorado Rockies to begin the year is not a great thing. And these are the kinds of games, just like we talked about last year with this team, at home in front of a sellout crowd. Padres got to find ways to win these types of games against teams like the Rockies. Look, these games add up. They do. They did last year with the way the Padres struggled against teams that were under 500, the way they struggled at home against teams like this. When you look back at the end of the year, these games do add up. So, yeah, the Padres have been playing good baseball. Yeah, it doesn't erase what the Padres have done entering this series, but at the same time, you look at the record, it's back to 22-23, a game below 500. And on top of that, you feel like the momentum they had coming into this series is sort of been erased. So again, it goes back to what I said in the opening segment. It's been 1 step forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step, 2 steps back, and so on and so on. And look, in that sense, it feels a little eerily similar, and I hate to keep doing this to going back to last year because I don't know, quite frankly, how long you can keep on doing it. But look, a lot of the same names are here, so I guess it's natural. Feels a little 2023-ish in the sense of they just can't seem at the moment to build the momentum over the course of weeks at a time. Yeah, 8-3 in a span of 11 games entering the series. It was great. They played a really good brand of baseball, but then you followed that up with a couple of losses against the Rockies. Is it the end of the season? Absolutely not. But you were hoping that you would see the momentum continue, that you could get above 500 and keep it rolling, and it just has not happened in the last 2 games. So we've kind of talked about it at length at this point, even in the first 2 segments. Went through this game, kind of the 2 different parts of this game and some of the frustrations through it, and we'll continue to break down this ball game as the Padres fall 6-3, and they'll try to avoid a sweep at the hands of the Rockies tomorrow. Much more in our post-game coverage coming up after this on the Padres Radio Network. Our post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score here tonight, Rockies 6 and the Padres 3 as the Padres fall in the second game of this three-game series to the Colorado Rockies. Padres now 22-23. Rockies improved to 14-28. Rockies have won 6 in a row. And they'll go for a three-game sweep tomorrow here in San Diego. Padres now just 2-4 against the Rockies to begin the year. And look, if you have postseason aspirations, it's wise to play better than that against teams like the Rockies. And obviously there's still a number of games left, 7 to be exact, against the Rockies this season. And if you're the Padres, it would be, again, wise to have a better record than something like 2-4 in the next 7, because these should be games that you're racking up some wins. And look, it doesn't take away from the fact that the Rockies are playing well, but at the end of the day, you have to find ways in games like this and against opponents like this. In the last couple of nights, the Rockies have got the best of the Padres, and going back to just that gut-wrenching loss in Colorado, the final game of that 4-game series where the Padres had a 9-4 lead in the 8th inning. They lost the game. Padres have now lost 3 in a row to the Colorado Rockies, and as we've illustrated throughout the last half hour or so, what makes these two losses sting even more is the fact that the Padres had been playing really good baseball coming in, and you thought had gained some momentum, and maybe you could even say turned a little bit of a corner, at least with a nice series here. You felt like that, stay above 500, but Padres unable to do that in the first 2 games of this series. If you want to sound off about tonight's game, feel free. You can tweet at me at Sammy Lev, SammyLev. DM's open at Sammy Lev there on Instagram as well. If you want to comment on the video stream, may cycle through some of those coming up a little bit later. Phone number is always 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973, the phone number to call, and we'll continue to talk about this game. Let's point out one of the bright spots in this one with our relief pitcher of the game.
Which pitcher was able to come in and slam the door shut? It's time for the relief pitcher of the game in support of the Jacobs and Cushman San Diego Food Bank, providing food assistance to local children, families, and seniors in need. To get help or give help, visit SanDiegoFoodBank.org.
We take a look at our relief pitcher of the game, and look, one of those nights where I'll stay in the Padres to give you a little shining light here, a little positivity, bright spots here tonight. Eniel De Los Santos, nice bounce back for him, inning and a third scoreless, faced 4 batters, retired them all. That mostly came after, I should say most of that, was in the 8th inning, right? Yeah. So De Los Santos did a nice job keeping it a 3-run deficit. Ended up getting the first out of the 9th inning, so kept the Padres right in it, down by 3, 1-2, 3/8, and then ended up getting the first out of the 9th inning, struck out 3 in his appearance. So relief pitcher of the game will stay with the Padres for that one here tonight. Eniel De Los Santos, very nice job out of the bullpen. You hope a sign of things to come for Eniel in the days and weeks to come. We'll step aside here on the Padres Radio Network. Short segment there. We'll come back out of town scoreboard and continue to break this one down as the Padres fall 6-3 to the Colorado Rockies on this Tuesday evening. More after this on our post-game coverage on the Padres Radio Network. Our post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building. Final score here tonight, Rockies 6 and the Padres 3. I don't know about you, but some Spice Girls to welcome us back with the bumper music here on the post-game show. It brings a smile to my face, so that makes me feel a little bit better here tonight. Am I the only Spice Girls fan at 97.3 The Fan? Padres Radio Network, probably. But, hey, you know what? That's one of the perks that comes with the job. You get to pick some music from time to time. Final score here tonight, Rockies 6, Padres 3. If you want to get involved, you can do that by tweeting at me at SammyLev, SammyLev. Instagram DM's open as well. I got a DM on Instagram here that's made me laugh. MK saying, "Hi, Sammy, here's the plan. Make the Rockies wear Dodger uniforms. That will get the Padres to play better." And MK, I know what you're saying, and that's a nice, it's a good message there. Look, the Padres have played well against the Dodgers this year, right? They're 5-3. They've won both series here in the U.S. against them, one in L.A., one in San Diego, and wouldn't you know it, the Rockies come to town, and, well, they do not play well the last couple of nights. We'll see if the Padres can avoid a sweep against Colorado tomorrow. All right, we'll continue to cycle through some of your tweets, Instagram DMs, comments, and whatnot here on the post-game show. Let's quickly tell you about our player of the game.
Which player had the biggest impact on today's game? Let's find out who is today's player of the game. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Catch every game at Patties and Pints. Plus, enjoy $4 beer every Thursday. Visit valleyviewcasino.com today.
Our player of the game here tonight, I'll tell you what, I think it's got to be Cal Quantrill. Looking at the box here, the way this game played out, bottom line is this. Quantrill got in trouble, was able to battle his way out of a number of jams tonight. Padres were 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position through 5 innings. Padres had a base runner on in every inning against them but one, but somehow, some way, he got through 6 scoreless innings in this game. I mean, look, Quantrill has been pretty good this year. His numbers might surprise you coming in. And considering he was a former Padre draft pick as well, nice feather in his cap to do this against his former team here in San Diego today. He was good. 6 scoreless innings at one point, and the one run he allowed, was charged against him, but he was out of the game. So, to me, it's pretty clear tonight, and trust me, it gives me no joy to, as always, hand off a player of the game to an opposing player here on the Padres Radio Network. But tonight, got to be that way. Cal Quantrill, our player of the game. Very good start. 6+ innings, 1 earned run given up, 6 hits, 91 pitches, worked out of jams. And bottom line is this, against this Padres offense, through 6 innings, held them to 0 runs and allowed his team to jump out to a 5-0 and then ultimately a 6-0 lead. Padres could never catch up in this ball game. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, tell you what's going on today around the major leagues.
Let's take a trip around the Bigs and tell you about the scores you need to know in our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Meat, where great taste meets integrity.
We take a look at games around the major leagues today. Everything's gone final. Phillies beat the Mets 4-0 in New York. Nationals and the White Sox played a doubleheader in Chicago. Nationals won game 1 6-3. The Nationals dropped game 2 4-0 to the White Sox, so they split that doubleheader in Chicago today. Marlins beat the Tigers 1-0 in Detroit, the final in Sen. Red Sox beat the Rays 5-4 at Fenway Park, the final in 12. Braves beat the Cubs 7-0 in Atlanta. Matt Olson a home run in that game. Yankees beat the Twins in Minnesota 5-1. Giancarlo Stanton a home run in that one. Brewers beat the Pirates 4-3 in Milwaukee. Sal Frelick a home run for the Brew Crew in that one. Guardians beat the Rangers 7-4 in Arlington. Josh Naylor a 3-run home run in that game for the Guardians. Other scores, Astros beat the A's 2-1 in Houston, the final in Sen. Victor Caratini the walk-off hit in that game for the Astros. Cardinals beat the Angels 7-6 in Anaheim. Logan O'Hoppe, a 3-run home run in that loss for the Angels today. Reds beat the Diamondbacks 6-2 in Arizona. Will Benson, a 2-run shot in that game for Cincinnati. Royals beat the Mariners 4-2 in Seattle. Nelson Velasquez, a go-ahead 3-run home run in that game for Kansas City. Dodgers beat up on the Giants 10-2 in San Francisco. Shohei Ohtani, a home run in that game for LA. And one postponement today. Blue Jays and the Orioles in Baltimore. They'll make that up in late July. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Tuesday. Got to remember what day it is. Tuesday in the major leagues. We'll step aside here on the Padres Radio Network. We'll come back, wrap things up, get you ready for tomorrow's series finale, afternoon game tomorrow. We'll tell you more about that pitching matchup and tie a bow on this one here tonight. Rockies beat the Padres 6-3 here at Petco Park. Our post-game show continues on the Padres Radio Network. Our post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score here tonight, Rockies 6 and the Padres 3. Padres and Rockies will wrap up this series tomorrow afternoon game. We'll have more on that game coming up in just a moment. And so we'll preview the upcoming road trip for the Padres as well before we go. But first, as the Padres fall 6-3 to the Rockies here tonight, let's hear our play of the game.
What was the crucial play that determined who came out on top? This is today's Play of the Game, presented by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
Pitch on the way to the left-hand hitter. McMahon skies one to right field pretty deep. Fernando backing up, checking where he is. At the wall, leaping up, gonna go. Moonshot to right for McMahon. His 6th home run of the season. And the Rockies' strength, it is 1-0 here in the 4th.
Ryan McMahon, the home run in the 4th inning against Dylan Cease, gave the Rockies a 1-0 lead. They would go on to extend the lead out to 6-0 through 5.5 innings tonight. And look, bottom line is this. McMahon hit the home run. Padres never recovered. They never would end up tying this game. So McMahon's home run against Cease got the scoring started. Just the start of the scoring here tonight for the Rockies. For McMahon, his 6th home run of the season. Ezequiel Tovar later in the game had a solo home run to make it 6-0. Again, the Padres did score 3 runs in the 7th inning. They would get the tying run to the plate in the 7th and the 8th inning, but could not get the big swing they needed here tonight. Padres went a combined 3 for 12 with runners in scoring position in this ball game. Before we preview tomorrow and wrap things up here, just to look at what's coming up in the next week and a half for the Padres. Finish up this 3-game series and this 6-game homestand tomorrow at 1:10. An off day on Thursday. Padres will spend it in Atlanta. Then 4 games against the Braves on the road, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, wraparound series over the weekend. Then 3 in Cincinnati to wrap up the road trip. Then 3 against the Yankees here at home. So the next time the Padres are home, they'll actually have the New York Yankees in town, a rematch of the '98 World Series. So that'll be or I should say, the next time they're home against the Yankees and the Marlins come to town. But it does illustrate a point, right, which is why are games like this so important against the Colorado Rockies? Because you got 4 games coming up against the Braves. I know the Reds have not played well at all since the Padres saw them here at Petco Park. But that's a team that I think is better than what they've been lately on the road in Cincinnati. And then at home against the Yankees. So you've got a span here of 10 games that are not super easy. Again, it just goes back to the point. You got to find ways to beat the Rockies at home. Beef up a little bit because now, even if you win tomorrow, you're back to 23-23, okay. But you've got 4 games in Atlanta coming up. I mean, again, you could find yourself below 500 still by the time you get home. And then you got the Yankees in town. It just kind of speaks to why games at home against a team like this, despite the Rockies playing well coming in, they're just very, very important to take advantage. So we'll see. The Padres can at the very least avoid a sweep tomorrow and end this homestand on a high note and make it a winning homestand at that. Padres would have, right now it's a 2-3 homestand, so they'd actually be going for a 500 homestand tomorrow after taking 2 out of 3 from LA to begin the homestand. Anyway, on to the game tomorrow. 1:10 p.m. first pitch tomorrow. EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show at 12:10. Right-hander Michael King on the mound for the Padres. Left-hander Austin Gomber on the mound for the Rockies. Our pregame coverage begins at 12:10. Certainly hope you can join us for that one tomorrow. Taking a look at the final totals here tonight. For the Rockies, 6 runs, 10 hits, no errors. They left on 5. For the Padres, 3 runs, 11 hits, 1 error. They left on 8. Winning pitcher Cal Quantrill, who improves to 3-3. Losing pitcher Dylan Cease, who drops to 5-3. The save goes to Tyler Kinley, his first of the season. Time of game, 2 hours, 39 minutes. And the crowd at Petco Park, it was the 13th sellout of the season, 40,134. Once again, first pitch tomorrow at 1:10. Our pregame coverage begins at 12:10. If you missed any of our postgame show, you can go back and listen to all of it on the Inside San Diego Baseball podcast with Sam Levitt. Search it up on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your podcasts. For our great studio coordinator, Frank Marchese, I'm Sam Levitt saying so long and good night. Again, the final score, the Colorado Rockies 6 and the San Diego Padres 3. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the Padres Radio Network.